can hear their excitement. This small group from Durham is aimed to keep kids away from drugs, gangs, and engaged in school.
I love the group. I really am glad that I joined it.
11-year-old Joshua from Eno Valley Elementary says the We Are Kings program for boys of color is teaching him valuable lessons.
I can make a difference in my community. I could stand out. I could be different. I could be better.
A word that resonates every time they recite the King's Creed.
I just get so excited because this is just the beginning.
Jermaine Porter leads the program that boasts 600 boys. This school year, he launched the We Are Kings program in 15 of DPS's elementary, middle, and high schools. Black and brown boys make up 40% of Durham Public Schools' student population. This group's effort is to reduce the achievement gap, school-to-prison pipeline, boost literacy, and motivate students like Braden Keith to be leaders.
The most important way of the Kings is how you carry yourself.
Today, the students visited the International Civil Rights Museum in Greensboro, where they learned about the national sit-in movement, first started here by 4 black men at A&T.
Why is this important?
I think it's important for our future, right? So especially we're here at the International Civil Rights Museum in Greensboro. The students are understanding where they come from. They are our future.
It made me feel like I was actually really there at the time watching it, and it was just a great experience, just knowing your history and what they had to go through in order for segregation to stop.
We Are Kings hopes to be a model for other school districts.
I feel like it made a difference in my life, and it could make a difference in everyone else's.
Tim Pulliam, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
America's game. I pick up my bat and I take a swing for the fence. Nothing but broken glass grounds out in my residence. But maybe now my cry will be heard. You see, I learned this game from history. We spent centuries in the outfield. Thought that inning was over, but Jim Crow had to bat still. There were a lot of runs scored. And my team, we tried to play catch up, but the rules of the game and fairness never seemed to quite match up. You see, we fought for civil rights so that we could share that diamond, but racism continued to knock them out the park while we were in the back, wall climbing. Fast forward to the 80s and what appeared to be free bases, but that was just a trap for those trying to run in those races. I mean, of course we were called out. That free base was never safe. Sometimes we were baited to steal, and that's just a chance that we take. Now, I'm not justifying jacking, but all teams are robbing, son. I'm just saying call it fair in this game we've begun. So often when my people get their chance to bat, they get tossed wild pitches which make contact with their bodies. And if there's even the question that we might charge the mound, then any force is justified in bringing us down to the ground. We can't let this slide, not with error after error after error after error. Our team can be stepping up to bunt and people are nervous with terror. Pitchers throw ball after ball just hoping that we'll walk. But too often we don't make it home. I'm calling time out for a talk so we can change this whole game, recreate the whole structure. One where Black Lives Matter and there's respect for the other. Wow. Change. Respect. Are they really on deck? Do the fans in the stands even want to see that? Just check our entertainment and how our team is viewed. Our pitches have to have some curves or at least be screwed. But this fastball has no bad call. It's right in your strike zone. Get off the pine, put it on the line, and maybe you can hike home. The important thing in this sort of dream and this mid must fit is we may have short stops and score drops, but we will not quit. You know, I think we thought this game was over, but we're just entering the stretch. Civil rights, that was the warm-up. We ain't seen nothing yet. And I know some people say we're good. I really see no need to complain. But we can't rest on this quest until we change this game. So my question to each and every one of you is, how will you step up to the plate?
You are muted, Brother Porter.
I did that on purpose. Good evening. Good evening. I just wanted to make sure the people were here. Make sure they check their volume. I'm good. Good evening. Welcome to King's Conversation, our third installment. We are super excited to have everyone joining us. If you're joining us on demand or if you're here live, we're just glad to have you joining us today. My name is Jermaine Porter. I am the Boys of Color Initiative Coordinator for Durham Public Schools.
And my name is Dr. Daniel Kelvin Bullock. I'm the Executive Director for Equity Affairs for Durham Public Schools.
Dr. Bullock, I'm super excited about King's Conversations, this third installment. We've had wonderful men of color to share with our Kings up until this point, and today's installment is just like the last two. We have the wonderful opportunity of exposing our students to different occupations. And today we're going to delve into the entertainment industry. So
entertainment. Let's go.
So the first person we're going to bring up, so he's been an actor on, he's been on Martin. He's been on Sister Sister. He's a comedian. So we're going to have to talk to him about what episodes he's been on, though. We're going to have to delve into that when he gets on here. But I'm going to give you guys Mr. Bo P.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Bo P, how's it going, sir?
I'm good. How you guys doing? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Doing good. Hear you loud and clear.
All right. So, yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm proud of what you guys are doing. I'm happy to be here today to talk to the young man. I've listened to the intro. It's a great things y'all are doing up there, man. My wife is actually from Durham, so I'm happy to be doing this for you today.
Okay.
So we're glad to have you. So not only do we have Bo P, so Dr. Bullock, we have the awesome opportunity to have a person who's been a television producer. Right now, they're behind the scenes. He's actually, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. He works for Court TV. So he's following the George Floyd case, right? So right now, we'll delve into that a little bit more. But ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you all to Mr. Glenn Griswold.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. I'm doing great. I want to also just commend what Bo P just said, that what you guys are doing is wonderful, and I'm glad to be a part of it, and we will continue to be a part of it. And I like the intro with the baseball analogy. Really slick. I like that.
Appreciate it. So I would love to give the credit to the person who wrote the poem, performed it, such a wonderful oracle. That would be Dr. Bullock. Dr. Bullock actually wrote that poem himself. So Dr. Bullock.
That was real nice.
Hey, that was nice, Dr. Bullock. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
See how I give you that credit, Dr. Bullock?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You know, hey, you got to look out for each other. We got to
get credit due what credit is due. Yeah, give credit what credit is due. Yeah.
So I'm ready to get started. With our questions. For those of you who are here with us, I need you to like, share, comment with any and everybody. Go ahead and click the share button if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, let us know you're in the building. Our Kings programs, if you're having any type of watch parties, let us know. So right now we have R.N. Harris. We know that you are in the building. We appreciate that. We see that we have Hillside High School. is in the building. We have Hope Valley is in the building. We also have Charles H. Hamilton Houston Foundation are in the building.
Wow.
Pearson Elementary Kings, you guys are in the building.
Fantastic.
Welcome. We're super excited to have everybody who's joining us. Make sure you like, share. Let's get this thing going and popping tonight. So we're ready to get started.
Let's do it.
So, gentlemen, if you could please just briefly tell us about yourself and explain why you agreed to participate in this conversation. And we'll let both pieces. He want to jump in. He seems like he want to talk the most.
I see.
So we're gonna go ahead and let the comedian and we're gonna let him go ahead and go first. And then we'll let you go ahead and get in. Go ahead, Mr. Bo Peep.
No problem.
It's up to Glenn, but I thought Glenn might have been busy. But no, man, I am so proud
He's
to be
He's excited.
a part of this, man, because everyone knows as a comic, I also host a lot of comedy shows for new comics who've never been on stage before ever. And so, you know, that's very exciting to me. So what you guys are doing is getting kids ready for life. And that's very exciting to me also. So that's why I'm here today, man. To everything I can do to uplift kids and what they're doing and what they're going through today, man, I'm all for it. That's why I'm here today. Yeah.
All right, I appreciate it. So I want to go ahead and get this. I talked to you behind the scenes before we came on, but I need to know. So, and I'm very transparent. I am a Martin head, right? I'm a Martin head. So I need you to go ahead and tell me now and tell all, and Kings, you might not know what Martin is, but everybody else, they do. So don't worry about it. He's a great comic. Tell us about the episode you were on, if you don't mind, so I can just play that in my head.
Episode of Martin I was on, it was called Father, I think it's called Father something. Anyway, it was the episode where Tommy, Father, and him, they was on the show together, and his father was played by the gentleman who played what's his name? John Amos. Yeah.
Okay.
So after that episode where we was having like a competition between the father and the son and all that. So I was in that episode. I played a bar patron. I was one of the guys who sit at the bar and go back and forth with Martin.
Okay, cool. Great.
I actually just watched that episode not too long ago. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I had on that big old ugly sweater they put me in. Yeah.
So let's be clear now. That's probably the sweater you own, and you trying to blame people that put it on. Let's just keep it.
That was all wardrobe.
Great, Mr. Griswold. Go ahead and share with us about yourself and why you chose to participate in this conversation.
Yes, I hail from the Bronx, the South Bronx, in New York City. I have traveled around the world. I went into the military when I was 19, and it took me all around the world, and it brought me back to the States right here in Atlanta. I've been here for about 25 years, and I'm just bringing it back home. My mother's from the South. My mother's from Macon, Georgia. So when they made Black people made the migration to up north, and my mother went up north for a better life, then I brought the migration back to bring back the riches and the knowledge to Atlanta. And I wear several hats. One of them is being here at Court TV. I work in S&P, which is Standards and Practices, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But what I do here is I'm basically the one that when somebody curses or they use a racial slur, I bleep it or I blur it. It's like censorship. And also, I have a nonprofit. When Bo Peep works with me, it's called Comics United. It's for a nonprofit for comedians and their families. Because within the entertainment world, every other genre of entertainment has insurance. They have a union. Comedians have nothing. Comedians work at night. Comedians, one gets sick, he got to have his own insurance. This is not a new idea, but this has been talked about for years by some of the greatest comedians. The closest thing that we've researched and found out that has come to fruition, it's like what we're doing, is when Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, and Robin Williams did the AIDS thing, the comic relief. And that was organized then. But now we're reaching out to all comedians around the world. whenever they need assistance for their families. If somebody's sick, the house burned down, kid need a coat, we're going to be here to give them relief. We're also teaming up with an organization called HEHE, it's Health Education and Humor Expo. And what we're doing is we're co-sponsoring a golf tournament in September. The program that we're teaming up with is with Cindy Chenier. And what she does is she educates people on health issues, blood pressure, diabetes, which is prevalent in the ethnic communities. She's right, strokes, all different type of medical things that could happen to you. Of course, all of the kids out there, you're not thinking about it now. I didn't think about it when I was your age, and I want to educate and bring that back to the community. And the main reason why I'm here doing this, I'm so excited because I was one of you kids sitting there right now. I search myself all the time to say, I remember when I was in PS 63, sitting there not paying attention to class, not being my coming to my full potential. Didn't go to junior high school, still not paying attention, but I just kept getting passed through until I got to high school. And one of my high school teachers told me, said, "Why don't you take school a little bit more serious? You're a smart young man," and that has always stuck with me. But anyway, that's the main reason why I'm here, because this goes way back for me.
Well, I appreciate it. See, Bo P, I thought you were going to be the one talking a lot. It seems like it's Mr. Griswold who's going to be doing that. So we good. I got you, Mr. Griswold. I'm going to put you on a timer. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. We only got an hour.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Right here. You put me on a timer. I have a lot to say. Okay.
I appreciate that.
So, Mr. G, on that note of, you started alluding to your experiences in schools and with certain teachers and educators. So I'm wondering, and it may be what you just spoke to, what is the best memory you have of a teacher or of school growing up? And we'll start with you, and then Bo P will come to you.
Sure. I can't give you one best memory. I have several, but I'll just give you a few, okay, real quick. My memories of growing up was fun, having fun in school. We had fun, a little bit being clowning around and things like that. But there were classes that I really did enjoy. One of them was gym. Another one was the arts and crafts. I was always good at creating things. So, a lot of memories I had because we didn't think about ourselves growing up in the ghetto. I grew up and went to schools in the worst neighborhoods in the Bronx, but I never thought about it that way because I had fun. I had friends that was from my neighborhood that we're still friends to today. We all have jobs. We all work. We made something of ourselves, but my teacher that had impact on me was quite a few of them. So I just don't want to name one, but my memories was always to have a good time.
Okay. So the relationships were important for you, and there were some teachers that were really able to connect with you. Sure. So that's good to hear. Good to hear. Bo P, how about you? Best memories of a teacher or of school growing up?
School. Well, I dropped out at first grade, so that was my best memory. I'm just kidding. Man, I actually love school, man. When I graduated, come to find out, I only missed 5 days a year. I mean, five days in 12 years of school, absentee. Because when I stayed at home, I lived in the country. I was in Mississippi. I grew up. So if I stayed at home, I had to work on the farm. So I couldn't wait to go to school because I had to do no work. So I didn't miss school, man. I love school. I didn't know every year I got most wittiest. And I didn't know what most wittiest was until I got about 9th grade. I just took the award every year. I didn't know what most wittiest was. And so one day my mama asked me, "What is most wittiest?" I said, "I don't know." She looked it up. She said, "Oh, you the one acting silly in the school." I said, "I assume." I didn't know I was acting silly. I was just being me. But anyway, I got class favorite. Every year. I got most wittiest every year. And then when I got to high school, I had a teacher that was she was from London or somewhere, and she also taught English, but she also taught theatrical drama class. And I wasn't in the drama class. My father would let me in there. I played sports, so I couldn't be in the drama class. But she knew I had something in me, so every time they had a play or something at the school, she would always put me in it. and I would just be in there, and I would always get to freestyle. I didn't go to rehearsal or nothing. I just go in and she'd tell me what to do and what to do, and I would just freestyle and do what I was supposed to do. And so she told my father, "Hey, your son need to go to New York to the that school in New York, the theatrical school. I can't think of the name of it, but my father said, "Oh no, he's not going to school to act stupid and be no actor. He gonna learn to use his hands." So my father paid me to go to college to be an electrician. And that's what I still do to this day. I still love the fact that my father sent me to school to be an electrician. So when I'm not on the road telling jokes, I'm out here doing electrical work. So it's nothing above doing hard work to me, man. And that's what school taught me, is to work hard, be studious, listen. The more you listen, the more you understand, the more you're going to get from it. And I was one of those kids. I didn't have to do a lot of reading at home and stuff because I listened to everything the teacher said and I wrote it down. So when it come to taking a test, I told her I didn't flunk any tests because I said, that's what you said. That's what I put down. That's what I did. And so I passed a lot of my classes that way, man. But I love school, man. I love school.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So I do want to share that we have some additional people who have joined since the last time I said something. We have additional people that was coming from Hillside, but I also want to make sure that if you are viewing, please, if you have any questions for either one of our guests, go ahead and put those in the comment section via Facebook or YouTube, and we will make sure that we do ask the guests those questions. So, Bo P, you said something about your award that you received and what you didn't necessarily know what it meant at the time. So I want, if both of you could, please, if you would share, what point, when did you realize that it was okay for you to stand out and be different from your peers? Oftentimes people want to be able to, our kings and people feel as though they have to fit into a specific box of what people want you to be, but it's okay to be different. So if you could just share with us, when did you realize that it was okay to stand out and to be different from your peers?
You want me to go or Glenn?
You first.
Okay. Actually, man, I didn't want to stand out. I didn't really want to stand out because the way I was raised, my mother and father. So I was raised not to embarrass your mother and father, not do anything that's going to embarrass your mother and father. So when I left the house, I made sure I was on my best behavior. But when I was in school, I would kind of say little things, and kids, would laugh while the teacher, I didn't know. I never went there. I never went to the office. I never got in trouble. I never got suspended. I knew when to shut up when everybody was about to get in trouble, so I knew when to stop.
So you started it.
I was started. Yeah, I was started. And then when the teacher, the next person said, "Where are you going to the office?" I would stop, let somebody else be dumb enough to do that. And so I learned quickly. And I didn't know I didn't know I was standing out at the time. And then once I started stand-up comedy, that's when I really decided it's okay to stand out, because when you do comedy, it's you against the world. You're the one holding the microphone. You against the audience. You against whoever you're talking to, and you have to be in your mind somehow say to yourself, "I am special to be up here. I'm not an audience person. I'm not. I go through the back door. I sit in the green room till I go out on stage." And so you had to somehow tell yourself you're a little different than everybody else in the room, and it's okay to be different and stand out. I ain't saying to be tacky about it. I'm not saying to be silly about it. I'm not saying to get in trouble by doing it, but it's okay to be different than anybody else. It's okay.
Thank you. Mr. Griswold.
Well, for me, early on, when I was like 10 and 12 years old, I played basketball, and it was my first love. And it led me to be popular. So I found out that I could do things. I found out that I was good at something. And then at about the age of 13, I became a child actor. I was in a group. The group was named Ike and the Drummers and the Dancers of Today. One of the experiences that really changed my life. You can laugh all you want. But what we did was we was an African group. We performed in all over New York City, all over the country. And my brother, I have to give my brother Randy a shout out. When I was a kid, my brother would teach me African rhythms. He would teach me African songs. And at the time, I just did it. And I was good at it, but I didn't realize how good I was until I started getting the lead parts of songs where We were in town. We performed at Town Hall. We performed in New Jersey, and I started realizing that I had something. So those are like the early times of my life that led me and shaped me to be who I was. Because before that, my confidence wasn't really there. I would kind of just fade in the background. I would not exert myself. But once I started in music and I started in sports, it elevated and boosted my morale. It boosted my confidence. Also my cousin was real good, and he's always been a person to push me. He always showed me tough love, always pushed me, and I always pushed myself to, live up to what he wanted me to be. And the challenge is when you're young, and especially if you come from a background that's a little less fortunate than others, and you start becoming aware of things outside of your environment. Like when I was a young kid, I used to see people on 125th Street educating us on the things of the world. I see it was a brother down there, and never forget, he was talking about, it was Thanksgiving. He was like, y'all running around buying turkeys and celebrating. He said, but y'all ain't learning in school what happened the night after Thanksgiving, what the Pilgrims did to the Indians. And that caused me to learn about my culture more. So those things started me real early, and knowing that I was different, and I could do something with my life.
Something I'm noticing in both of y'all's responses, and you, Mr. Griswold, you also alluded to in a previous question, was the role of the arts in who you became, and having this exposure, being encouraged in the arts to try new things, and that's part of what helped you to stand out. I was also thinking about what Bo P was saying as far as like the educator who put him in a space where he could use his talent on stage, where he said he was just freestyling some things, but at that point it sounded like the teacher was also seeing something in him and encouraging him, saying, hey, you might need to go somewhere else to explore all the possibilities, all the potential that you have in this entertainment arena. So with that in mind, our next question for you, and hopefully Bo P will be able to rejoin us in a moment. As a man of color in America, and in the entertainment and television industry, what are some of the challenges you faced, and how have you navigated those challenges? And this could go in a number of different directions, but just wondering, like, what comes to mind for you as far as navigating challenges in the television and entertainment industry as a Black man?
Well, one of the things that I attribute my success to, and one of the things I always carried with me, was where I was from, the respect and love that my mother showed me, and the person she wanted me to be. She raised me to be. She raised me with spiritual values, believe in God, be a man of God. And early on, when I was making mistakes, I got arrested when I was 16 years old in New York. And, I had people at the Boys and Girls Club to really help guide me. And then when I got, probably I would say my first job in entertainment was at CNN. I worked for CNN in New York. And I was working for a Fortune 500 company. I was an executive trainee. And it always stuck with me that I was in a meeting one time with all of the sales executives around the country. Ted Turner and Jane Fonda gave this meeting. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around. There were 4 men of color in that room. And I love Ted Turner for this, that he looked around and he said, what's your name? I said, Glenn Griswold. Asked the other guy, what's his name? Other one, what's his name? Other one, what's his name? He said, are any of you guys managers? I said, no. He looked around and he said, somebody tell me why one of these guys is not a manager. And they all had this stupid look on their face. And he said, I'm not asking you just to put you on the spot. I'm letting you know that if they're qualified enough to be in this room right now, they're qualified to be managers. And it always stuck with me. Always stuck with me. And from that point on, in entertainment, wherever I went, wherever I guided myself to, I was in a room at that time. I had a degree I had an associate's degree from Toro College and El Paso Community College when I was in the Army. These guys were Ivy League graduates, and I held my own with them. And that took me to always saying that when I'm somewhere, it's more of the coming to America thing. Carry myself like a king. Carry myself like a man of dignity. I'm also a Mason. I'm a master Mason. I carry myself as a man. I carry myself as a responsible man. So no matter where I'm at, it may be people that have more experience, more things that I don't possess. But the one thing I do possess is a work ethic, and I always carry myself with dignity.
Gotcha. Work ethic, carrying yourself with dignity. Bo P, same question. We were just discussing, as a man of color in America, in the television and entertainment industry, what are some of the challenges you faced, and how have you navigated those challenges?
As a man of color, one thing I found out when I got to Hollywood, most people in Hollywood are small. They're not as big as they look on TV. So that was one of the problems I had. I was a big old black brother, to them. And so putting you in the right role, because you got all these small guys who are supposed to be the heroes and the macho and the lead actor and all that. So you put someone bigger than them, it's intimidating looking. So it took a while for them to put me in the right position. What show to be on? Who could I? Even when I did Martin, when they had put me on there with Tommy, first they were saying you're too tall for Tommy. Tommy can't beat you up. You're too tall. So I had to kind of drop my shoulders a little bit, act smaller, so I can get the role. Because they wanted me to have the role, but they were trying to figure out how do we blend Tommy and him together because of their size. And when it comes to being black, I'm from Mississippi, so I've always dealt with racism when it was coming up. So that's never been anything I was scared of. My father's always told me, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too, no matter what education he got. If he can be trained to do it, you can be trained to do it. So that's one thing I've always lived by, is whatever that other person can do, I can do also. So as far as the racism part, I've never been scared to go anywhere. I knew how to handle myself because I grew up around racism, so I knew how to present myself in a way where I'm not threatening, and I'm not gonna let you threaten me. And but in the industry, as far as blacks at the time, we had our sitcoms and stuff. But as you can tell, right today, a lot of your top actors are not working. So it's always been the case when it comes to black actors. But not enough shows out there created by black people, and not enough show where black people on the back end is calling the shots. So that's always been a problem. Now it's getting a little better. You got more people that, you got like Tiffany Haddish, you got Kevin Hart who's making way for people. People like Glenn and myself who do these shows with Comic United. We present comics that people may not have ever seen before, and we give them a pathway to shine also. So being black has never been a setback for me. It's always been, hey, I can do what you do, Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. We also want to welcome Watts Kings there in the house, as well as Burton and CC Spalding. Welcome. Hello to the Kings. Thank you guys so much for joining us with your watch parties. So, Bo P, I want to talk a little bit to you. You mentioned earlier how you would be the one to tell the jokes in class, right? And I think I consider that to be a gift, right? Because everyone could tell jokes, but when did you realize that you were funny and you had the gift to make people laugh, right? And what advice would you give to those who have a gift but are still trying to figure out how to use it?
First thing I say, if you want to do comedy, the earlier the better to start, because the older you get, the funnier you're going to get, because you're going to live through some things. And that's one thing I found out from comedy is you have to live and go through some things, whether it's tragedy, or funny thing that happened to be funny. Now, as far as when did I knew I was had the gift, I didn't know I had the gift. I was just being myself. Like I say, when I was in school, I didn't know anything about comedy. I didn't know there was such thing as stand-up comedy. Richard Pryor to me was I don't know what to say. He was just like, I thought was just one of a kind person. So he was the first person that I heard do comedy. I snuck and bought a Richard Pryor album, and my father thought it was a music album, and put it in the car, and Richard started, you know how Richard talked. My dad looked at me like, boy, what do you know about this? And so in class, I would always do all the Richard Pryors and the Mudbones, and the people don't know Mudbones, the character Richard Pryor does, and I would do Dolomite stuff. So I do the shine, and all that kind of stuff. So I knew all that stuff, and the other kids be like, man, where you know that? Where you get it? Where you get that? And then I would sing, you know, I could sing. I would sing Michael Jackson songs and everything. And so I was just being myself. I really didn't know I was trying to entertain. I was just being me, you know. And I was a shy person too. I wouldn't want to go come up and initiate a conversation with you. Because I was a little skinny guy. So I would wait back till somebody talk to me, then I would say something. But I really didn't know I was being a comedian, man, until I got to California, and I went to a comedy show for the first time ever been in the room. And I don't know if you guys know Linnell, comedian Miss Linnell. She was just in Coming to America. She played in that, and so she was in the room that night. And they said, anybody want to try it? Anybody want to do it? And then one of the guys said, man, this guy's funny, man. He always talking funny stuff, man. From Mississippi, he got a funny dialect. So she didn't know me from anybody. She just pulled me up on stage, started talking. And I started talking, man. I've been doing it 27 years now. And I never knew I was funny that night. I didn't think I was, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So when I come off stage, I had about 3 different people like, hey, I got a show for you. And believe it or not, one of those shows was Showtime at the Apollo. And I said, lady, this is my first night doing this. I don't know what I'm doing. She said, well, you got plenty of time. We don't take to December. That's a whole year from now. So I had a year to get ready for Showtime at the Apollo. And then when I got there, I got booed. I got booed. And so that was because I'm from Mississippi, and my first time in New York. So I was scared to death. I had never seen so many black people in my life. I thought I was in Africa. You know, I said, oh, man, where am I at? This is New York City, all these black people. So when I got on stage, I was fearful. But they didn't boo me because of what I said. They booed me because of where I was from. You know, when they said Oakland, California, that time New York and California was feuding. So luckily they didn't boo me because of what I said. They booed me because of where I was from. And so I got to come back after that and do it. And I got to, get my thing. Yeah.
So real quick,
I want to piggyback on something that he was saying about when he knew he was funny and when he knew he had a gift. Now, gift of comedy and the gift of laughter is the best medicine in the world. But also, there's other parts of comedy. Instead of being on stage, being a stand-up, you could be a comedy writer. This is to all the kids out there. You could be a comedy writer. You could be a comedy director. You could be a comedy agent.
They make the most money.
Right. Well, just like what Bo P said, his experiences, there's somebody who writes jokes for comedians like Kevin Hart, but they call ghostwriters. They may not be funny to you or me and stand up on stage, but they write the funniest jokes. So just to piggyback on that, doing comedy is not always telling the jokes. It's not always the one that's funny in class. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so there was 2 things I was going to say. One, I was going to say, Bo P, if that's what you told yourself when they booed you off the Apollo, it ain't what you said, is where you were from. I like that. Keep that up.
Well,
it worked for you. It worked for you. So
anyway. We booed them anyway.
Yeah.
The second thing I was going to say, and you said something to me, and it encompasses the purpose for King's Conversations. We want to, you didn't even know that being a comedian existed or something that you could aspire to become. In King's Conversations, we want, and in all of our King's programs, we want to expose our students. So, Mr. Griswold, I appreciate you jumping in and sharing about being a ghostwriter and being able to write the things. And we're going to talk to you a second about things that can happen behind the scenes in entertainment industry. But it's important that we are exposing our kings, because I said recently that if you don't expose students or people to opportunities, then they don't know the things that they can aspire to become. So we are limiting what they can aspire to become. So that's why we want to make sure that we've run the gamut with our Kings conversations. So I kind of want to go ahead and jump into that with you, Mr. Griswold, is if you could just share briefly what you were talking to me about, what you're doing with the George Floyd case. Now, if you could share a piece of that, as well as if you could share the opportunities that are available behind the scenes for people who are interested in being in the entertainment industry, but not necessarily in front of the camera.
Right. Well, when first of all, this trial is historic. This is history. This incident changed the world. And this trial, Court TV, I have to plug Court TV, we're the only cameras in the courtroom. Every other news outlet, every other network is getting our feed, getting highlights from us. And what that means in layman terms is you watch Court TV, you'll see the anchor with the tie on and very sitting there astute, but there's 24 people connected to that broadcast that you're not seeing that are more important than the anchor you're seeing. There are people who are working in SMP and censorship like myself. There's producers, there's cameramen, there's sound people, there's makeup artists. Makeup wardrobe. Translates, make wardrobe. When you see a person in front of the camera, they gotta eat. They gotta eat. Some young lady may be good at doing makeup. She could work behind the scenes in doing makeup, wardrobe. You have production. Production people are important because if they don't get your shot right, or if they have your levels, your skin could be darker on TV or lighter on TV if they make a mistake. There's so many things that go along with a broadcast. And that's one of the things that I learned because at one time I was in front of the camera. I used to sing, I used to act, I was in front of the camera. But when I got with CNN, and I remember my first trip to Atlanta coming to the control room, and I looked and I said, man, look at all this going on. These people must be real smart. And then when I came to Atlanta, they needed some help in the control room one time. And I was like, oh, I'll go help them because I want to see what's going on. And I sat there and I taught myself how to produce television, how to I work with a lot of professional veterans, but I taught myself, I didn't go to school for this. I taught myself how to do production, direction, how to do camera angles, how to look and make sure that the bugs in the bottom are correct. All of that stuff is important.
May I say something right there?
Sure.
Glenn can attest to this. I've taught myself what he was talking about. I shoot camera, I direct, I write, I edit, everything for its production. I even do the electrical. I even run the sound for my own studio. I have a studio. If you can see in the background on the screen behind me, that's my show from one of my shows in my studio. And also at the same time, like he said, I started out, my first job in Hollywood wasn't an actor. I was a what they call a grip, which is an electrician on a movie set. So I actually I learned from behind the scene to in front of the scene. See what I'm saying? So I know every aspect of it. And right now, I don't know if you guys know DC Curry, Uncle Elroy. We actually co-created a sitcom that's coming out called Nappy Valley, and I co-created that, and I'm also the co-star of that. So you'll be seeing that coming out soon. So like he was saying, it's a lot of people people behind the scene. They take just as much pride in what they're doing as the people that's on the camera, because without them, they can't see him. So people out there, if you don't want to be in front of the camera, it's a lot of you can make a good money at it. You spend a lot of time in some great location. You see the world. You get to meet some different people in every walks of life. So behind the camera is not a bad place to be.
And Bo P, that also just reminds me. I mean, you spoke earlier about your dad encouraging you to get your degree as an electrician, and so you were able to take that skill as an electrician and apply entertainment, which was your starting point to become, an actor and being able to put your comedic skill on a different display. I just think that's amazing how those things work together. Like one skill supported the other.
I'm gonna tell you what was it wasn't amazing. It was smart because comics don't make a lot of money when you first start out. I did comedy for 5 years before I made my first dollar in comedy. So
you get a lot of wings. You get a lot of wings and free drinks, right?
Yeah, that's what you get.
That's what you get.
And so
You get wings and free
You get
drinks.
a lot of free water. You get a lot of
Free water. Drinks.
Yeah. Because people don't know that when you first start out in comedy, it's gonna take you a while before you make any money at it. You know what I'm saying? So I needed some way to pay my bills, and I had something to fall back on was learning to use my hand. So I tell everybody out there, you're gonna get entertainment. It's gonna be a lot of days you're not gonna eat. So if you got something you can fall back on to do that you learn, another task that you can good at, do that at the same time. But trust me, when I got up in the morning at 6 o'clock and went to work, do electrical work, I got off at 3:30, 4 o'clock. I had to get home, change clothes, and go to the comedy club every night, and I couldn't miss a night. I had to go if I was going to do it. I had to do it. And so I had to stay at it. And it took a lot of work to get to this point in my life was comedy.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Griswold, the specific court case. This is the Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin case that you're saying court. Could you say just a little bit more about, like, I guess where we are with that case, or maybe what's being shared, or
Where we are right now is we are in voir dire. That's the French word for jury selection.
Okay.
So and this is one of the most important parts of any case, because the jury is ultimately going to decide his innocence or his guilt. And although we are saying the George Floyd trial, George Floyd is not on trial. So you were right on point with that.
Right.
And during this process, people, Minnesotans are coming in there, and everybody has seen the tape. Everybody's seen it. Heard it.
It's hard to find a jury that way.
Yeah, right. So it's harder to find a jury. Plus the $27 million, $27 million civil suit that was just awarded. People know about that. So just imagine, if you can see, this is before the trial starts. People are coming in there. Now, the other part that a lot of potential jurors are afraid of, this is a former police officer, 19 years.
Yeah.
In order to get in the court building, a police officer has to check your ID. People are admittedly afraid. And then there's people who are afraid that if the police officer does found not guilty, that people are going to kill them. So there's so many different sides to this equation here, but we have to get justice.
But I say this too: it's hard to find a partial jury because, like you said, everybody's seen the tape, and then when you've seen this for yourself, now who's going to sit up there and say, "Hey, I didn't"? Cause right now, the $27 million verdict that somehow says there's some wrong being done.
You're exactly right. And that's what people are saying, right?
When they say you pay somebody $27 million, you said there's a wrong done, so now you're trying to get a jury that's going to say it wasn't right. So it's hard to find that type of jury.
Yeah. So
also, that's the highest settlement in American history from a police officer, from a police case. $27 million.
Yeah.
That's why this case is so historic in many levels. Okay.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say thank you for clarifying that, so that people understand, what's actually going on with the trial, and Court TV playing a key role in being a part of the cameras that are able to actually gain access to different parts of the trial. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And you kind of shared on the different careers that are behind the scenes. Both of you have, so thank you for that. I guess my next question is, as you look back over your life and different experiences, what's the one thing that you would say kind of changed the trajectory of your life? Like the direction, things might have been going one way, you had this experience, or maybe this person or someone that kind of pushed you in a different direction and put you on the course to where you are now.
Well,
I would say my father, my mother and father, man. That's always been my driving force right there is to make my mother and father proud. They worked hard when I was growing up. They fed me. I had a house, So I didn't want to do anything that's gonna disrespect my mother and father, put them in a bad light. I didn't want them to have to go to the prison and pick me up. I didn't want to have to get me from no drug house, no rehab house. I wanted to do things that make my mother and father proud. So when my mother and father came to see me perform for the first time, I was so nervous that I grew up in a church and they heard me talking and saying some things that they had never heard me say before. And so I just knew my career is over then, But when I come off stage and my mother and father said, boy, you're pretty good at that, Because my dad, I've been calling, I was struggling as a comic, trying to work behind when I had a little setback, call home, Mama, can you send me some money? And first thing they said, well, you need to get you another job and quit that comedy. And so that was always the case when it came to, struggling. We get you another job, quit that comedy. And so I had to stay at it. And I said, I'm going to prove to them that hard work's paid off. And I'm going to make them proud one day. My mother and father see me on TV.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. That was a good day. That was a good day. My mother and father, they would see me on TV. A little boy from Silver Creek, Mississippi, 208 people. 208 people in my hometown. And for them to see me on TV was the best day of my life. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. No problem. You said 208 people. 208 people. That's
207.
That's
207 now.
Yeah, 207. But I know how that is coming from a small town, a small place where, and to see someone make it to that level, I can imagine what that meant to your family.
Just to hear my mama say, boy, all these people calling here, they see it. And she act like she claimed it was bothering her all them phone calls, but she knows she loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that to me, man, was the best feeling ever to, hey, my mother and father really approved of what I was doing, and I was doing something that was positive. That to me was great for me, man. Yeah.
And Bo, I just want to tell you, in this space, you began to get emotional because of the story you were sharing, and you don't have to apologize. In this space, I understand that oftentimes it's men should not. People perceive that men shouldn't cry, but we are, and we have emotions. And when things touch you, like the story of coming from a small town and the people being able to see you on television. We don't necessarily know all of the story and everything that you went through, but we appreciate your vulnerability and you sharing with us today how you were able to make those people from your city and your community proud.
Silver Creek, Mississippi.
Silver Creek. All right, let's name it. Silver Creek.
Silver Creek, Mississippi. Yeah, right. And listen, I'm going to go Google that because I never heard of it.
There's a lot of other people.
If it shows up on Google.
If it shows up.
Yeah. I might have to go and find it somewhere. But Mr. Griswold, same question to you.
Yeah. Now, as for me, it was really two things. When I was 18, I had my children. My children changed the direction of my life. I was young. I was pro-life. I back then, I was with that's my seed. I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to do good. I wanted to make something of myself. I wanted to get my children out of New York, because back then, it was being in the streets. If somebody can't get to you, they'll try to hurt your family. One of the other things was at that time I was 18 years old. One of my best friends, Earl Jenkins, we called him Chubby. He got murdered, and it changed. We had a crew, it was like 6 or 7 of us, and if they're watching, they know who they are. And I gotta pay homage to Chubb because we all still carry him with us. So if there's any kids out there right now, y'all in high school, y'all in school, and statistically, 1 in 4 before the age of 18 will either go to jail, die, use drugs, or have a baby. And I experienced those things. And for me, when my friend died, I had a child. I was supposed to go to college. I was playing ball. I had a scholarship from, and I went to the military. I had to work. That really affected me that, he and nobody, till this day, they still didn't find out who murdered him. Shot in the back. We were kids. We thought we were grown. So some of y'all think y'all grown. But when you get 25, you're going to look back on 18 and you're going to realize how much you didn't know. Even though you sitting there right now thinking how much you know, how cool you are, how fly you are, how smart you are. But when you get a little bit older, you're going to find out that really you were in a position to learn things. What you thought you knew was really not that much. So, and for me, I experienced it.
Thank you. We're about 5 minutes. We have about 5 minutes left with you. And one question we like to ask everyone is, if you could tell your elementary, middle, or high school self something now. You just talked, Mr. Griswold, about how you get to a certain age and you look back and you think you didn't know something. So I want you to take a moment and think about if you could tell your elementary, middle, or high school self something now, what would that be?
Oh, you froze up on me, Mr.
I think it.
Porter. But I got the question.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go first?
Go ahead.
You want to go first?
You go ahead. It don't matter.
Okay. For me, it don't take me long to think about it because this is something that I think about quite often. And it's not one thing I would tell myself. For one, it would be an ongoing conversation. And one of the things that I would tell myself, first and foremost, I would start off by telling myself, hey man, hate to disappoint you, but you didn't make it to the NBA, man. You ain't gonna make it to the NBA. Now, you
We
work.
heard you talk about the gym. You ain't been in that since then.
Well, no. I'm talking to myself in elementary, junior high school, because then that's what I wanted to do. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to the NBA, So I would tell myself, hey man, you didn't make it, man. But here's the good part, full transparency. You work for the NBA, you work with the NBA, but you worked as a supervisor in the master control. You produced the games. They were the games. The guys was in the truck. Feed was coming to the master control, and I made it go out. I made it go out to your home where you watch it. I was still part of the NBA, but I just wasn't on the court. So that's the first thing I would tell myself. The other thing I would tell myself is you're a lot smarter than you really know right now. Life experiences, to piggyback on both, when you experience more in life, more will come to you. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Prepare yourself for some of the disappointments because you're going to have some. But also, be a man, be a person of honor. Being a Mason taught me not to lie. I tell my children, do me a favor. I got something I want to ask you, and y'all students there. Go to your parents and say to them, I'll never lie to you if you never lie to me. I don't care if the police got you and the gun was smoking and you had it in your hand and 3 people was dead, and I asked you, did you do it? And you say no, I am going to fight for you because I know you won't lie to me. Somehow, some way. Now, that's an extreme example. But being a person of integrity is something I had to learn. Because when you come from the hood, people will lie to you all the time. Lies is what you grow up. You lie to girls. You lie to yourself. You lie to your parents. But I started realizing it's easier not to lie. And lying is a big thing, man. It may not, a person that lies,
We got 2 minutes.
Think about yourself. All right. That's it.
Thank you. I feel like we're ending the same way we started. So Bo P, listen, we have like 2 minutes. I need you to believe in the 5 B's right now.
I got you.
Brief. I need you to.
I got you.
What would you tell your elementary, middle, high school self something right now. Griswold took a lot of your time.
What I spoke on before, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. So what I tell myself is find something that you're interested in, that you like to do today. It's going to change over a period of years. But whatever you think that you love, got a passion for, stay at that, learn everything you can about that, and pursue that. And also honor your mother and father, honor your mother and father, honor your mother and father. And also, man, respect people, treat people the way you want to be treated, and respect people, man. That's the first thing I would tell you, is respect other people's space, place, time, and don't think everything's about you all the time. It's never all about you. Be a sharing and caring person, and you'll go a lot further in life than being a selfish person. And learn everything you can learn, grasp it all in, and get out there and do something. Don't be lazy. Don't be scared of hard work. Don't be scared of failure. Get out there and fight for what you want to do, and don't be scared to fight for it, to stand up for your right. When you know you're right, stand up for your right, and be good. I love you guys.
Listen, gentlemen, you guys dropped some bomb, dropped some knowledge. We appreciate you. I'm going to send you backstage, but I don't want you to go anywhere. Me and Dr. Bullock need to talk about something. Dr. Bullock, go ahead and share.
Oh yeah, I just want to put on again. Are we talking Silver Creek, Mississippi, Lawrence County?
Yes, sir.
Mississippi. Okay,
yes, sir.
put it on for Silver Creek.
Yeah.
Put it on for Silver Creek, the Bronx, Wilson, North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we're right here representing Durham right now. So I just want to shout out.
I perform in Durham all the time too at Riley's.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just want to shout out. I like that, putting on for Silver Creek, where you're from. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
So I don't want you guys. Listen, you're just going backstage. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Okay. I'm gonna step away 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
So Dr. Bullock, once again, another outstanding King's Conversations, but we have been in a virtual Spirit Week for our Kings all week long, all week. And today is Kings Create, where Kings would just post or share things that they create or hobbies. And tomorrow is one of my favorite days. Tomorrow is wear your favorite college or university gear.
Oh Lord!
If you post that, I just want to make sure that we do that, and that's tomorrow, Saturday at 9:00 a.m. We are having a food distribution.
All right, had a quick freeze there. Mr. Porter may be back in a second, but he was about to say that Saturday at 9:00 we are having a food distribution event at Hillside High School. We are asking that if you are interested in coming in. Oh, hold on, he may be coming back. Okay, Mr. Porter, I was just saying that the food distribution is taking place at Hillside High School. I was about to say that you can enter via the Riddle Road entrance into Hillside to pick up those supplies. But do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so just make sure that you come in Riddle Road entrance, 2 families per vehicle, 2 family per vehicle. You guys are more than welcome to come through. We'll be there until all of the food is distributed. Our goal is to feed 1,000 families in Durham. We are Kings. We serve. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.